Every morning presents two choices: rise with intent or wake up with indifference. The man who understands the power of the first hour knows it is not just another part of the day. It is the gatekeeper of momentum, the ruler of direction, and the silent architect of a man's future. He does not wake to scroll. He does not wake to react. He wakes to dominate. The first hour is sacred. It is the throne of the day, and either you sit upon it like a king commanding your realm, or you let others seize it and throw you into mental slavery. Most people allow the outside world to enter their mind before their own spirit has had a chance to speak. They grab their phone, consume meaningless chatter, drown themselves in problems that do not belong to them, and then they wonder why they feel empty, why they feel unfulfilled, why they can't get ahead. It's not a mystery. It's cause and effect. To master your life, you must first master your mornings, and to master your mornings, you must become the commander of the first hour. This hour should be ruled by silence, vision, discipline, and internal alignment. Not noise, not chaos, not distraction. Think of it this way: if the morning is chaotic, the day will follow. If the morning is purposeful, the day will obey. A man must guard the first hour with his life. He must rise before the world needs him, before the notifications, the emails, the demands. He must rise before the sun to meet his spirit, because in that sacred time he is free from the chains of external expectations. It is in that moment that clarity visits. It is in that hour that purpose becomes loud and procrastination becomes weak. The world is quiet, and the voice within becomes thunderous. If you choose to wait until the world wakes up, you've already lost the battle. You've let the rhythm of society dictate the rhythm of your life. You've become reactive, not proactive, passive, not powerful. But the man who rises with a mission, who controls his first hour, begins to magnetize his ideal life. Not by luck, but by law, the law of focused intention. This hour is not about how long you sleep. It's about how intentionally you live. You don't need 10 hours of rest to be powerful. You need purpose. You need a reason that pulls you out of bed like your soul is on fire. You need a cause that electrifies your heartbeat before your feet hit the floor. This hour is not just a morning ritual. It is a declaration of war against mediocrity. And in this declaration, words are weapons. That's why the second principle is to speak your definite chief aim aloud. Every morning, not once, not twice, but with the conviction of a man who knows the universe is listening. Speak your aim like a general giving orders. Speak it with certainty, with emotion, with clarity. When a man declares his aim to himself each morning, he programs his subconscious to serve that vision without hesitation. Words carry power, but only when backed with faith and emotion. If you mumble your purpose like it's an obligation, it holds no weight. But when you stand tall, speak from your chest, and proclaim your purpose with belief, you start to bend reality. You begin to pull resources, people, and opportunities into your life, not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. The man who speaks his aim every morning begins to change. He starts walking differently. He starts thinking differently. Decisions become easier. Distractions become weaker. He no longer needs motivation because he's fueled by mission. He doesn't beg for inspiration because he has installed identity. Every repetition of his aim becomes a brick in the foundation of his mental fortress. Every morning declaration is a hammer driving the nail of purpose deeper into his consciousness. Most people don't have a definite chief aim. They wake up with no fire because they have no flame to feed. They wander through the day hoping to feel inspired, hoping to find direction. But hope is not a strategy. Desire without direction is a ship without a compass. It drifts until it crashes. You cannot leave your life to chance. You must give it aim, and you must remind yourself of that aim every morning until it is tattooed in your spirit. Do not keep your goals locked inside your head. That is where dreams go to die. Speak them every single morning. Speak them before the sun fully rises. Speak them before the world steals your time. Let your voice echo your destiny. When you speak your aim aloud, you reaffirm to the world and to yourself, "This is who I am, this is where I'm going, and nothing will stop me." There is no magic in mornings. There is only the magic you bring to them. The transformation happens when you take control, when you build your first hour around self, command, clarity, and conviction, when you don't negotiate with the alarm clock, when you don't scroll for noise but reach for silence, when you don't react to the world but act upon your world. That is when life begins to change. People think success begins with big moves, but it begins with small rituals done relentlessly, and the most powerful of these rituals begins in the morning. Win the morning, and you have set the stage to win the day. Win enough days, and you win the year. Win enough years, and you become unstoppable. But it all starts with the first decision you make when you wake up. Do you rise with power, or do you rise with passivity? To change your life, you do not need to change everything at once. You just need to change how you begin. The first hour shapes the rest. And when you combine intentional control of your morning with the verbal affirmation of your chief aim, you create momentum no force can stop. That is not philosophy, that is fact. When your morning becomes a declaration of purpose, your life becomes a manifestation of that purpose. Speak your aim, declare your vision, own the silence, move with intent. Rise like your future depends on it. Because it does, the average man begins his morning with food in his mouth before feeding the power in his mind. He reaches for sugar, for caffeine, for something to stimulate his exhausted body, all while his mind remains starved of clarity, starved of direction, and starved of purpose. This is the silent failure of millions. They fuel the physical while leaving the mental bankrupt. But the man who is destined to rise understands a higher law. Feed the mind before you feed the body. Before your feet hit the floor, your mind must rise first. What you place in your mind before the world touches you determines how you will respond to life's demands. 5 minutes of empowered thought in the morning is more valuable than an hour of inspiration at noon. The man who learns this rule no longer waits for motivation to strike. He becomes the source of his own ignition. When you rise, before you pick up your phone, before you speak to anyone, reach first for something that feeds your internal fire. Read one paragraph of greatness. Reflect on a single truth that shakes the slumber off your mind and reminds you that you were not born to be average. You don't need to read an entire book. You need one line that awakens the beast inside of you. The man who reads for power does not seek volume, he seeks voltage. In those early moments, the mind is impressionable. Like fresh concrete, it will take the shape of whatever is poured into it. And if you pour in complaints, negativity, chaos, or comparison, you set the tone for a day ruled by fear, anxiety, and weakness. But if you pour in courage, certainty, vision, and wisdom, you walk into the day armored, unshaken by the noise that tries to pull you off track. Your thoughts shape your state. Your state shapes your actions. Your actions shape your destiny. It all begins with the first seed you plant in your mind at sunrise. Feed the mind with purpose. Feed it with truth. Feed it with ancient wisdom that has outlived the rise and fall of civilizations. Let your mind dine on strength, and your spirit will soon crave discipline like others crave comfort. Most people start their day hoping to feel good. But the man who desires power does not aim for feelings, he aims for fortitude. He doesn't need pleasure, he needs preparation, because he knows the day will test him, and he must be mentally armed to respond with dominance, not emotion. If you understand the importance of feeding the mind, then you must also understand the second force that elevates a man beyond the reach of petty circumstances, gratitude. But not the hollow, mechanical kind people speak of without emotion. True gratitude is a weapon, a sharpened mental blade that cuts through doubt, fear, and scarcity. and it must be practiced every morning before the distractions of the world begin their assault. A man who begins his day in gratitude is a man who refuses to be a victim. He does not dwell on what he lacks, he focuses on what he controls. Gratitude trains the mind to recognize opportunities where others see problems. It transforms setbacks into lessons, pressure into preparation, and obstacles into stepping stones. And it must be done with emotion, not routine. Gratitude is only powerful when it is felt deep in the soul, when the heart beats faster as the mind counts the blessings already present. The world conditions men to start their days in panic, rushing, worrying, comparing, but gratitude is rebellion. It says, I already have enough within me to conquer what's ahead. It does not mean the man is content. It means he is grounded. He is rooted in reality, but reaching toward his potential. The man who lives in gratitude is not soft. He is dangerous, because nothing rattles a man who is anchored in appreciation. You cannot shake a man who sees each breath as a gift and every obstacle as an opportunity to grow. Gratitude must become a morning ritual, not a once-a-week exercise, not a mental checkbox, but a fierce emotional acknowledgement of what is good, right now, regardless of what is missing. Speak your gratitude aloud. Write it with intensity. Feel it with fire. Name 3 things you are thankful for and do it until your chest swells with conviction. This rewires the brain. It doesn't just make you feel better. It builds a fortress against fear. Gratitude replaces doubt with confidence. It turns the energy of stress into the energy of resolve. And understand this truth: gratitude is not for the weak. It is not reserved for those who are already successful. It is the very fuel that creates success. The man with nothing who practices gratitude is richer than the man with everything who wakes up angry, because the first sees potential in every moment, while the second is blind to what he already owns. You must train your mind to find what is right in every situation. This is not delusion, it is decision. You do not ignore problems, you rise above them, and gratitude is the staircase. When gratitude becomes a morning weapon, you do not fear challenges, you welcome them. Because you trust that every experience has been placed before you to sharpen your character, to test your endurance, and to prepare you for the magnitude of the mission ahead. And every morning, when you choose to dwell in gratitude instead of doubt, you increase your spiritual and mental wealth. This wealth is the kind no man can steal and no crisis can diminish. So feed your mind before you feed your body. Read something that stirs your spirit, something that reminds you of the man you are becoming. It doesn't need to be long, it needs to be right. One sentence of truth is better than 1,000 words of noise. Then condition your emotions through gratitude, not weekly, not as a trend, but as a non-negotiable daily ritual. Write what you're grateful for, speak it, feel it, let it become your armor, your compass, and your weapon, because when you begin your day with a nourished mind and a grateful heart, you become unshakable. You stop looking outside for motivation and start generating power from within. The world will still come with its demands, the problems won't disappear, but you will have changed. You will no longer be at the mercy of circumstance. You will walk into the storm with stillness. You will handle conflict with composure. You will make decisions with clarity. And it all begins before the world even knows you're awake. There is a principle of power that few understand, yet it shapes the entire trajectory of a man's day. The ability to see the day as already won. Most men wake up and wait to see how the day will treat them. They watch the clock. They hope for good news. They react to situations as they come. And in doing so, they hand over their future to chance. But the man of purpose does not wait. He decides. He wakes with a vision of victory already locked in his mind. Before a single task is done, before any word is spoken, he has already run the entire day in his imagination. He has already succeeded, already conquered, already broken through. This mental rehearsal becomes a blueprint, and the subconscious follows that design throughout the day. He doesn't visualize vaguely. He sees the conversations, he feels the progress, he walks through the doors in his mind that others never open in real life, and when reality arrives, it is no longer intimidating, it is familiar. The man who visualizes success each morning installs dominance into his nervous system. He prepares not just with plans but with pictures, and those pictures burn into his brain like film exposed to light. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between real and imagined when emotion is involved. It responds to what you repeatedly present to it. So if you start each day rehearsing obstacles, stress, failure, or fear, do not be surprised when your day plays out exactly as rehearsed. But when you install victory first thing in the morning, you become a magnet for opportunity and a mirror of resilience. He sees himself calm under pressure. He sees himself saying no to distractions. He sees his goals being achieved. He sees obstacles arise and himself moving through them with clarity. This is not fantasy. This is mental preparation. Athletes do it. Warriors do it. Visionaries do it. And if you want to rise beyond mediocrity, you must do it. Each morning, you must take 5 minutes to close your eyes and run the film of your success. Not someday, not maybe, but today. This practice is a spiritual workout. A mental weightlifting session, you do not leave your mindset to chance. You shape it by force. You don't let the day paint your mood. You paint your day with the brush of intention. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is what a man sees before the world opens its eyes. The average man stares at his phone. The exceptional man sees himself conquering his life. And this vision, repeated daily, becomes identity. And once identity is shaped, behavior follows. And now, armed with vision, the next weapon is precision. A vision without action is a hallucination. To bridge the gap between what you see and what you achieve, you must apply ruthless focus, and that begins with the most underrated tool of power, the to-do list. But not any list, not a list bloated with filler and comfort tasks, not a list designed to make you feel productive while achieving nothing meaningful. You must build a ruthless to-do list that bows only to your purpose. Every morning, ask yourself this: what must I do today to move closer to the man I intend to become? What actions, if taken with intensity, would make today a success in my own eyes? Strip away the fluff. Eliminate the easy. The to-do list must not be a feel-good exercise. It must be a declaration of intent. Most people write down 10 tasks to avoid doing the 3 that matter. But the man who seeks greatness does not dilute his energy. He focuses. He eliminates, he attacks. Your to-do list must be aligned with your chief aim. If the task does not move you toward your ultimate vision, then it is either a distraction or a delay. Ruthless means you cut without emotion. You do not keep tasks because they're convenient. You keep them because they serve the empire you're building. A list without purpose is a trap. A list with purpose is a blueprint for dominance. When you create your to-do list in the morning, make it visual. Make it specific. Assign time to each item. Do not merely say work on project. Say complete section 1 by 10, 00 a.m. Do not say go to the gym. Say 45-minute leg workout at 7:30 a.m. The more vague your tasks, the easier it is to justify skipping them. The clearer they are, the harder they are to avoid. Ambiguity is the enemy of execution. Precision is the ally of performance, and do not write your list as a slave to urgency. Write it as a servant of importance. Most people are driven by what screams the loudest, not what builds their legacy. They confuse activity with achievement, but the man who writes a purpose-driven to-do list uses it to cut through the noise. He is not concerned with being busy. He is obsessed with being effective. He would rather accomplish 2 powerful actions than check off 10 meaningless boxes. This morning practice of clarity turns you into a weapon. Because now your time is owned, your energy is directed, your mind is locked in, you are not hoping the day goes well, you are making it bow to your will, you don't wait to feel like working, you work until you feel like winning. You don't hope you stay focused, you design your day to make distraction impossible, and you don't chase motivation, you replace it with structure, and here's the truth few accept: if you don't build your list, someone else will. The world is full of people ready to add tasks to your life that have nothing to do with your mission. They will send emails, they will make requests, they will ask for favors, and unless you have already declared what matters, you will say yes to what doesn't. You cannot serve your calling while pleasing the crowd. You cannot fulfill your vision while doing what feels urgent but irrelevant. The to-do list is not a formality. It is a weapon. Each item must be a bullet aimed at your most important objective. Each line should move you closer to your chief aim. Each moment spent on that list should be spent with the focus of a man in battle, because in truth you are. Every day is war, against distraction, against fear, against weakness. And your list is your battle plan. Without it you will lose. So create it with clarity. Guard it with discipline, and execute it with violence against procrastination. This is not about being organized. It is about being unstoppable. The most dangerous man is not the most intelligent. It is the man who wakes up, sees his day already conquered, builds a plan aligned with destiny, and moves through it with relentless intensity. He feeds his mind. He anchors his heart in gratitude, he sees his future, he writes his war plan, and then he steps into the world not as a pawn, but as a king in command of his hours. Change begins before the world awakens. The man who masters his morning masters his destiny. When you rise and feed your mind with power, ground your soul in gratitude, see your success before it happens, and move with a clear, focused plan, you become unstoppable. Your life bends to the structure you build at sunrise. These habits are not minor. They are the foundation of transformation. Do them daily, and your results will no longer be a mystery. They will be a reflection of the discipline you chose when others were still asleep. Mornings shape men. Choose to be one who conquers.